Yep, so that was a fucking fail. My internet went retarded at 12 minutes or some shit, and then I reconnected reconnected it, and it said, "Oh, you're connected now. You're still live." So I kept talking for like 18, 20 more minutes. Stopped it, went back 12 minutes. Okay, well now I know. Now I know. Thanks, YouTube, for lying to me. You're just like the government. You're just like the government, YouTube. Okay, so I was talking about hallucinations and that it's real. Oh God, that's way back. Okay, overactive imagination is what you could kind of deem as hallucination. But that doesn't mean it's not real. It's just accessing a different mode. Once you become aware of your modes, what you are, what you're capable of, your different uh, modes of perception, popping in and out of like subjective and objective, in the body, out of the body, uh, then you're able to see that, you're able to redefine these words like hallucination or not real, made up. Yeah, I mean, you're doing it though. Like, you're the one doing it, and if it's up to the individual what they want to decide what is real or a hallucination to them. How real is real to you? What is real? It's really real, bro. It's all really real. But let's say with the fever hallucinations, those yeah, especially whenever you're younger, you don't have experience with that yet. Just like with anything the first time, it's new. You don't know uh, how to navigate that landscape yet. Um, yeah, but once you do, you kind of make it real, I guess. You determine your own defining attributes to what you're experiencing. And I mean, it's all levels and layers. So okay, yeah, but the whole hallucination thing, you'll really start to get more clear on that whenever you start to dive into your dreams, do dream work, whatever terminology you want to use there, uh, astral projection, lucid dreaming, just becoming more aware of the process, all the processes. But and I mean, whenever you become more aware of one, you you'll realize how that translates over to again another process. Say like with meditation, like and uh, sensory deprivation, and then potentially moving out of body, realizing you're not your body, like in that you have mobility in this other astral body. But that also translates back into being more present and aware and in the body, because they both kind of like when you shine the light on one, like it correlates to the other. They strengthen each other. I mean, the body naturally wants to find balance. So like whenever you go, it's kind of like a rubber band effect, but so it moves as well, like the other polarities, and so you'll kind of have a different awareness of the one that you weren't engaging necessarily. Inner is outer, and outer is inner. But yeah, so there's a lot of different layers with lucid dreaming or astral travel, and I mean, a lot of people like get interested in that, and they are searching for how do I get out of body? How do I do this? And I don't know, I think a good place to start is asking the question, why do you want to go out of body, like, or accentuating like what does it mean to be in the body? Like maybe you should look in the opposite direction, go in the body more, realize what's inside of there, realize what you have control over. And that's kind of like meditation, what you want to focus upon in meditation. Everything is meditation. Life's a meditation. It's what you want to focus upon. So in my meditation, I focus upon yeah, like releasing my sensory perceptions and collapsing into the central unit of what I am. And then with that, you can, continue on either wherever you want to go. If you want to go out or in, out would kind of look like astral travel, astral body, or maybe even diving into your dreams or lucid dreaming. The dream realm, the subtle energy realm, and inner would kind of look like doing some kind of energy work or pranayama or bandhas, the locks, breath locks, and yoga practice or working out, exercising, getting that energy flowing. So you can use it for different things. That's the point, is that you have a choice. You have the choice. Okay, let's get back to this shit. Read a little bit more of this. Pingala Nadi represents Raho Guna, activity, desire, the future, and superconsciousness. Its positive aspects are physical and mental activity, creativity, and self-respect. Its negative aspects are egotism, temper, domination, cunning, exploitation, vanity, lack of shame, fanaticism, and asceticism. With a strong right side, the person is known to be egotistic, selfish, aggressive, and the emotional side may become paralyzed. However, logic and wisdom are seen to depart, and they become ignorant. A balance is achieved by moving to the central channel, Sushumna Nadi, and believing strongly that one is not the doer. The beer. The Sushumna Nadi represents Sattva Guna, purity, the present, and the unconscious. It has only the positive aspects of faith and spirituality, nurturing, and revelation. Our evolution takes place through this central channel. When partly active, it provides awareness, virtue, and knowing. And awakening Kundalini first ascends to Shumna and the Ajna chakra, to the Ajna chakra, the third eye, and then descends through Ida and Pingala in a melting form. And this is what kind of I've experienced. And then later, after I had the experience, I found this book called Kunlun by Matt, Max Christensen, and it described pretty much exactly uh, the feelings that I had, that I couldn't really put clear terminology just yet on what was happening. But he described it, it painted a fairly decent picture of it, which was, you know, collapsing the sun and moon channels into the inner channel, and then having this like melting, or it's kind of like a rain almost. Fire rain. Rain down on me. The disparate factors of our being begin to integrate into a whole, connecting the mind to Atman, passing through the gate of Ajna Chakra. One reaches Sahasrara, Sahasrara, which is the kingdom of God. Maintaining thoughtless awareness and meditation makes Sushumna strong. One lives in the eternal now, transcending time and space. The arousal of Kundalini through the Ida Nadi manifests the negative aspects of Ida. Arousal through the Pingala Nadi manifests the negative aspects of Pingala. Only arousal through the Sushumna Nadi leads to Kingdom of God. Uh, and then I've seen people talk about as well, like tantric. And this is kind of like tantra, stimulating that instead of one or the other. Uh, and like it's so much more than just like sexual stimulation. So I thought it was described well with someone saying that like sex is lame after you've experienced tantra, because now you have something to compare that height of experience to, and it's more. It's not even a comparison; it's a completion kind of. So also, I don't know if this was recorded in the last one, but Big Nick's. I think I said that you're a cool dude. I'll say that in this one again. And you said something about you reached a place of meditation, like it was deep, and you cried, and that's awesome. Like that's good. Like it's very good if you can meditate and then tap into that vulnerability and release, and that could be in the form of tears of many different things, any kind of a release. But whenever you become vulnerable uh, and tap into the things that you've been holding on to and not realizing, um, it's powerful, and it's painful because you see it, you realize like this isn't me, like holding on to this, like I didn't need to do this, and it's painful having that come in all at once and realizing um, what you've been doing to yourself. That is painful shit. And yeah, we may have been tricked into into a language that is ass backwards, a society that is ass backwards, and brainwashed and mind fucked since uh, since in the womb, basically. But then comes a point where you have to realize that you have to take responsibility. You're the one creating. We're always the ones creating, for the most part, our own heavens or hells or paradise or whatever it may be. So what I would recommend with meditating is number one, you have to find a place where you feel safe. And the more you do that, the more you can just, it's kind of like with practicing the practice of yoga, or doing the asanas, but also all the other stuff that goes along with it that makes it that much deeper, that makes it yoga. The process is becoming holistic. It's becoming aware of all the processes. And in that process of becoming aware of the processes, uh, you will see more clearly what you're doing to yourself. And that's not always a pleasant thing to see, especially when we realize we've been creating hell for ourselves and for a lot of people, to those around us, to our children, our coworkers, our neighbors, parents. And so feeling those things aren't easy, but you have to if you want to release them, if you want to transcend them, transmute, you have to feel it and have the release. That's why I recommend doing these kinds of deep meditation, deep releasing, doing them by yourself. A lot of practices and things that we do nowadays, or things that you'll see, uh, there's always people around, and maybe supporting them, or oh, like, oh, having a pity party together, or misery loves company. But um, it can be beneficial, but it's only going to be to a point. You're only going to be able to go so deep. And then also, both of everyone involved is going to be creating a reality, because that's just how it is. So you want to try to do these things by yourself, these deep meditation practices and cultivations of your awareness, cultivation of your processes. So yeah, find a safe place where you won't be disturbed. Make the time, make the time, because that's what we do. We are time makers and creators. But really, there's no such thing. So that's another trick that has been played upon us, are these certain words in our language. Um, Hallucination, unreal, uh, imaginary, which is just taking in the negative aspect of being too heady, or your head in the clouds. But then death, and time, those things are not what you think they are. They've what you create them, and you've been taught that they are something that they're not, because they don't exist. And then also with our language, we objectify. What's up, Torin? So yeah, I'm new to this shit, but I fucked it up, but now I'm going. So yeah, you objectify. This is I'm not fond really of the English language, because there's so many ways it's used against us. There's so many ways that we use it against ourselves. This is what I was kind of talking about, how we are the ones creating our own hells or heavens. We just got to own up to it, and I do feel like we've been programmed, or led into this through our upbringing. But then you get to a point and you realize that you're the one continuing the cycle that you've been taught, and manifesting your own hell, or whatever you want to manifest. But number one is you got to step into your own shoes, your own body. Realize what you're doing to yourself, what you're doing to others. and then try to correct that, feel that. Just fucking feel it. Feel it all day. So we're talking about being vulnerable. Big Nick's mentioned crying and meditating, and I recommend doing a lot of crying because we don't release things enough. Uh a lot of languages are other languages not like that. Unconscious creating. It's not so, and it's not so much the language though. Which with the unconscious creating, it's the people. It's the human, and how they've been taught to create their own reality, and language plays a huge factor in that because it kind of brings order from the infinite to create basically your own constructs. And so I think what I said in the video that I got, it didn't record, was how I think it's in some Indian languages, Native American, and probably a lot of our older languages, original, is they didn't have words like or meanings such as death or something not being alive. Like it was just modes of awareness, like how things were alive, if that makes any sense. Like in English, it's very easy to objectify things and not see it as living. Because I mean, we surround ourselves by things, and I think that's kind of the point, like of how the English language is used, how we use it, is in many ways it's kind of a dead language, like the same with kind of like numbers that numbs your brain. Um, but it encourages us to just become comfortable in our little boxes that we are surrounded in, or our cities, because a lot of the language it creates, it's kind of like a box language. It creates that. So yeah, in other languages it's more of a holistic mindset. So that's one thing there. What else was I talking about? The Kundalinis. Reductionist English. Yeah, and with everything, it's just how we use it, and transcending our programmed uh, way of modes of using it. Because I mean, hmm, it can be very poetic and it can flow, but that doesn't seem to be the norm though. Like people don't really talk like that, because whenever you do, you're very emotional. It's a vibrant way of communicating and using language, and it's almost like it's not even English anymore. It's just a flow, an art form, but it's still within the constraints of the English language. So gotta work with what we got, I guess, until we start learning more languages, which is a good thing to do, if not just to realize the interconnectedness in many languages, then also the absurdity in a lot of dialects and languages, and where they're located at. Like a lot of regions will have dialects, and they'll be like neighboring regions, and then one thing will mean just the complete opposite in the other. And it's like, how did this happen? I wonder who taught them these things. Funny how we don't treat regular English speaking as an art flow. Um, and it's because of how we're using it. It's that inner and outer thing, like your inner state will be reflected in how you emote your outer appearance and flow state. So if you're feeling all lovey-dovey, then that's gonna come out. And I mean, it may or may not be like artistic, but it'll certainly feel authentic and have more love for sure. See, what else was I talking about in the deleted one? Um, yeah, I talked about Kundalini, and I read from this book, Kundalini Book to Living and Dying. But I mean, it's hard to read books really. Once you realize that it's just all about the experience, and that's the book, the book of life. That's the one. That's the book that we need to remember how to read. And I mean, a good practice in that is to go out in nature, because that's the living book of life. Because everything's the book of life, but whenever we're in a boxed book, a boxed reality of non-living, um, non-flowing materials, then that's going to have an effect on us. Probably not that beneficial of one, since we are living beings and uh, we're meant to be outside and always have that connection. Our skin breathes, so I mean, you don't want to breathe stagnant air. You want to be outside and part of the living book of life. Um, you engage it. That's how you learn anything, is you begin to engage. So how do we begin to engage the book of life? Well, we can go outside. We can engage it. We can learn to listen to our inner nature and outer nature, and that's where we can realize that this book is interconnected. It's all things, but everything is communicating with each other. Everything has a purpose. When you engage in that and you become part of that, that's when you begin like to understand that language, realize, awaken to the truth that you are a part of. We're all, always a part of. It's just that uh, we like to trick ourselves into thinking we're not. Or a lot of us, most people just walk around like, bio robots. They don't realize, what we're doing to our surroundings and to ourselves. Yeah, and you want clean air. So even living in cities, like we don't realize the pollution. Um, and a good way to realize that your skin is absorbing all this shit from being in the city, from being in an apartment or a house that has stagnant air. A lot of times we've all had those experiences with seeing like the dust in the sunlight. So I mean, our skin is literally absorbing this. So a good way to constantly remind ourselves of this is to see these things in the skin. That if you know what gua sha is, or the skin cleaning practices, you can use a lot of different things to do this. But first, you have to get your skin open enough. Most of us are so fucking clogged up that our skin doesn't really breathe, and that's why a lot of people are sick or ill. They're clogged up in their inside, and then also their skin is clogged. So at first, they're not going to get anything off of the gua sha, but once you tap into that deeper layer, you'll start to get some stuff coming out, and it's different for everyone. Um, Basically, from what I've heard with people who really get into it, it was the same with me, and it was dark colored stuff, almost black, and it's like, what is this? How did this get in my skin? And it keeps getting in there. So I mean, it's just a constant reminder of that. But gua sha is a good thing to do. The skin cleaning. And if your nails aren't too sharp, like you can even use your nails and either in the shower or whenever you're sweating, and kind of do it lightly, and you'll see, like, just in your fingernails, the stuff that you'll get with the dead skin, but also below that is stuff that's coming out of it. It's a good thing to look into for people if you want to get healthy or look into health stuff. Is skin, opening your skin up, and then also the lymphatic system, and then gua sha. Those are powerful stuff. All right. Well, it's gonna be it for now. I don't know. I guess I'll just leave this up. I don't have time to watch it. All right. Is it who's still in here? The soul, the lone Tauren. Well, peace out, brother. And shout out to Zen Atman for I don't know, doing what he does, connecting people as well. Peace and love.